Do you need help figuring out which telemedicine company is right for you? Well, hey, stick around. That's what we're doing today. How's it going, everybody? I'm Joey Giangola with Giangola Insurance, and today we're breaking down two of the biggest telemedicine companies available. If you don't know what telemedicine is, well, there's a video right here that you can check out. You can click right there. There's a link below in the video's description if you want to find out more about what telemedicine is and if it's something that you think might work for you and or your family. But if you think you want to give this video call doctor thing a try and cut down on the time you spend booking appointments, going to appointments, waiting for appointments, and overall just the amount of money you spend seeing a doctor, well then telemedicine may just be right for you. Now, of course, you're not actually going to a doctor's office to actually physically be in the same room as a doctor, but you will get to talk to them via an app on your smartphone or on your computer or just a regular traditional phone call if you want. But the two companies that we're comparing today are Teladoc and Doctor on Demand. We're going to compare these companies over 5 different categories. They are company history, cost and pricing, their overall platform, web app, and experience that you're going to have, actually talking to a doctor, and finally the follow-up process. But before we do get started, I just wanted to be upfront and let you know that our company, Giangola Insurance Agency, does sell Teladoc service as part of a discount benefit package. But of course, that does not mean that it's going to be right for you. I mean, if it wasn't, then it's just going to make your life worse and my life worse, and we don't want to make anybody's life worse. I just want to help you understand the differences of the platforms and figure out exactly which one's going to work best for you. Now first, company history. Now we're just going to briefly touch on this. We will have a little bit more in-depth on both of the companies, their overall history and how they got started over on our website, giangolainsurance.com. You can find a link for that below in the video's description. Teladoc, however, they were started in 2002, but it wasn't until 2005 that they actually started taking patients and talking to people in this new kind of way. Doctor on Demand, well, they're one of the newer players on the scene, if you will, and they got started just as recently as 2012. They're founded by Jay McGraw and Adam Jackson. Jay McGraw is actually the son of Dr. Phil. Yes, that Dr. Phil. And he also serves as executive producer from another doctor show that you might watch during the day, afternoon time when you're questioning the meaning of life and what you're doing with it. But the show, The Doctors, he actually is the executive producer for that show. Next, let's talk about pricing and cost structures for the two companies. And to be honest, this is where you're going to see the biggest difference between Teladoc and Doctor on Demand. Teladoc is going to offer a monthly subscription that is normally sold as part of a discount benefits package. You're going to pay a flat monthly fee and you can essentially get treatment whenever you need it, 24/7, 365 days a year. Doctor on Demand, however, charges you $49 every visit. These two pricing methods are really a matter of preference and possibly to some extent the overall value that you might receive. Teladoc is going to give you that on-demand doctor service whenever you need it for a relatively low monthly cost, where Doctor on Demand charges you basically $49 for every 15 minutes you talk to one of their doctors. Personally, however, I would rather pay the lower monthly fee for more healthcare at a lower cost instead of paying $49 for that virtual office visit every time I needed it. Because to me, it's not that much different than actually physically going to see your doctor in real life. And with the subscription style pricing that Teladoc offers, you don't have to worry about paying for any follow-up visits, as you will already have the option to get whatever treatment you need when you need it. That means if one of your kids gets sick from one of your other kids a few days later, you're not going to be hit with $50 every time you have to ring up that virtual doctor on the phone or through the video call. The closest comparison I can make, it's like watching a TV show on Netflix versus iTunes. If it's on Netflix, you can watch as many episodes as you want for your $9 a month. iTunes, however, you're going to get dinged $2.99 every time you watch an episode. Ouch. That means you're going to be pretty selective with every TV show you decide to watch. Now let's move on to the overall platform, meaning their app and the website experience that you're going to experience trying to book these visits and talk to doctors. So with both companies, I did one visit each through their mobile app and through my actual desktop computer. So we had a kind of a baseline to compare to see how each experience stacked up and to try the service more than once. With Teladoc, my first visit was done through my computer. It was a video call done on my actual desktop computer. I set up my initial profile and provided my medical history, and I was even able to add my kids in there, so if I wanted to book an appointment for them, I could do so really easily right from that account. So doing a video call on my desktop with Teladoc required me to complete a video quality test, meaning they just needed to look at everything, my connection, whatever, and make sure that my computer could handle talking to a doctor with video involved. Once that test completed, it was pretty simple, it was pretty quick, and almost immediately after completing that test, I had a doctor up on my screen and I was talking to him. Pretty crazy. Now, as for the Teladoc app, it's been downloaded about 50,000 times in the Google Play Store and carries a 4.0 star rating, if you will. Sorry, I'm an Android guy. I'm not quite sure what it's rated at in the Apple App Store. Overall, I do really like the app. It's very simple and easy to use. It's clean, it's nice. I'm a sucker for nice designs. It passed all of those tests for me personally. And I just use the request a consult button right on the home screen of the app to book my visit through my smartphone. Again, because I added my children to the account, it asked who the visit was for, if it was for me or one of my children. I obviously selected myself, and that was it. Again, both platforms on my desktop and on my smartphone had pretty solid audio and video quality. I never really had an issue hearing and or seeing the doctor's picture of it, from his camera, my camera. We didn't have any issues with that. So again, with Doctor on Demand, I did the exact same thing. One visit on my computer, one visit on my smartphone. The Doctor on Demand, or the DoD app, has been downloaded about 500,000 times in the Google Play Store, and it carries a slightly higher rating at 4.6. I mean, it's a close toss-up, but I probably just, for whatever reason, prefer the Teladoc app over the Doctor on Demand app. One thing that stood out to me with the Teladoc app is that they had a fancy little PIN code that you could put in to easily jump back in and out of your account, as opposed to signing in every time. I really liked that functionality. However, Doctor on Demand didn't require me to sign in again. It just brought me in there. So there's that extra layer of security with Teladoc that I have to put a PIN so I can just easily access it, and I know my information is secure in that app. Where Doctor on Demand, they didn't have anything. You just sign in once and I could keep getting back into the app. With my first visit through my smartphone, the mobile experience was pretty seamless. I was actually connected to a doctor within 90 seconds. Just let that sink in, 90 seconds. Crazy. And again, here too, the audio and video quality was not a problem. Could hear and see everyone involved with the technology very well. However, just spoiler alert, I'm sure that this will not always be the case, as you will have something that just decides, because it's technology, to not work properly just sometimes. Your Wi-Fi is going to hate you sometimes. Your phone's going to have been locked or done something because your kids were playing with it. It's just not going to happen, right? Just so be prepared, right? I haven't experienced it yet, but let's just be honest. It probably is very likely to happen. During my conversation with a Doctor on Demand doctor, they did tell me that one of the biggest experiences they have with people, patients, whatever, is that their Wi-Fi, meaning your Wi-Fi, is usually a little too slow and can't keep up with the video call. So one of the other big difference of the platform that Doctor on Demand has versus Teladoc is that because it's a pay-per-visit service, I don't know that they really have any expectation of you using it again, but there's just no place for you to save your medical information for you and your family. So that means you're constantly, every time that you're doing the visit, re-inputting some of that stuff that, I don't know, it would be nice to have saved. And maybe that's why they don't make you log in again, because it's not stored in there. I don't know. But I just can tell you that having to answer those same questions again for a visit every time is a little annoying. So moving on to my desktop experience with Doctor on Demand, much like Teladoc, they require me to complete a video test, a video quality test. Here it's a little different. They actually let me select my camera. So if you have multiple webcams, you can pick which one you want to use. Same thing with your microphone. They let you select which one you may or may not want to use. Now I got a lot of gear that I like to use, obviously doing videos. So I have a microphone that sits right up here. So I could select my nice fancy microphone. I could select a webcam microphone that I'm actually recording this video with. It doesn't matter. They give you those options, and you can also select the speakers that you want to have the audio played out of. So that overall, that kind of would, I guess, get a notch up on Teladoc. It's just a nice little bonus to be able to use the equipment that you want. But again, ultimately not a huge difference maker. But if you're a normal person, not like me, you probably only have one default option. So it's probably something that you're never even going to notice and or worry about. Now let's move on to actually talking to a doctor. First, Teladoc. So once I was connected to the doctor, I was very upfront and told him exactly what I was doing, and that I was trying the service out for our company because we were considering bringing them on and helping people like you understand the service. So he's very helpful explaining the process to me and kind of what he normally does in a regular routine visit. And he was even kind enough to walk through some fake symptoms with me and pretend to be a doctor. Well, I mean, I guess I pretended to have fake, whatever, you get the idea. He role-played a little bit with me. So again, for my second visit, it was done through the Teladoc app, and strangely enough, I actually got the same doctor that I had, that I talked to on my desktop. He didn't remember me right away, but I kind of helped jog his memory and told him, hey, I'm the annoying dude that called you a week or two ago to tell you I was trying the service out. This time, however, I was lucky enough to actually have a cold for him to be a real doctor and actually do real doctor things for me. So at this point, he launched into his doctor skills, and he asked me the normal, run-of-the-mill questions of, the cold stuff. And after the series of questioning and examination, he kind of launched into prescribing me a couple medications to help clear up the cold. Not my favorite diagnosis, but it is a very similar one that I received from my Doctor on Demand experience. So with Doctor on Demand, just like Teladoc, you request a visit and then you're placed in a call with a doctor. Just like Teladoc, once you request a visit with a doctor, you're placed in a pool of people and then connected with the next available doctor that is licensed in your state. When I first got into the exam room, the doctor asked me to explain my symptoms. So again, I was taking full advantage of this cold and explaining the cold symptoms to this doctor. Once we got past the pleasantries of getting to know each other and explaining my symptoms, it's really when I got to notice the biggest differentiator between Doctor on Demand and Teladoc, and that's their more extensive virtual exam. They are the only company of the big three, if you will, that's Teladoc, American Well, and Doctor on Demand, that tries its best to simulate a traditional doctor's office visit. Meaning they make you open your mouth and say, ah, like leaning really close into the camera, or pull down your eyelids, kind of look in your eyes, it's a little weird. And they even made me feel my forehead for sinus pressure, which I had no idea if I was doing right. However, on the heels of that, I noticed what is essentially Doctor on Demand's biggest weakness, a visit timer. Yeah. They put a little timer up in the corner of your visit that counts down once you enter the room from 15 minutes. That is essentially the amount of time your $49 visit gets you. Again, even though I'm sure all of those big three companies are trying to limit the call to around 15 minutes, blatantly putting it up there for me to see is a little nerve-wracking, I'm gonna be honest. But to be fair, with my second visit with my Doctor on Demand doctor, I asked about the timer and they told me that they can extend the time for no extra charge if they need to. But if you're just rambling on about what you did on Saturday night and where you're going to dinner tomorrow, chances are they might ding you for an extra visit if you don't shut up and get on with the thing. As for the treatment, I was told to treat my congestion with Mucinex and any aches or pains I had with ibuprofen and Tylenol. I did want to put this doctor through their paces though and countered their initial recommendation by asking for another natural solution possibly. The doctor then told me to try saline solution and a neti pot. I don't even know what that is. Or possibly a steamy shower. And finally, the follow-up. After each visit, you're provided with a message in your Teladoc message center recapping any diagnosis and or prescription medication that has been diagnosed or prescribed or whatever you will. This is where you'll also have access to any notes that your doctor may have taken regarding the visit as well. And they also are going to give you email notifications that if there has been a prescription medication prescribed, that it has been prescribed and where it's going to be prescribed and so on and so forth. Teladoc also sends email notifications for any prescription medications that your doctor may have ordered with the number to the pharmacy that you had already previously listed in your account when you set up your initial profile. Doctor on Demand, however, they don't really send any email notifications. You're going to have to access what they call the Documents page, and more importantly, a Visits History page that will easily allow you to book a follow-up appointment with whatever doctor you may have seen in the past. Outside of that, Doctor on Demand is a little light on the overall follow-up. So what's the bottom line then? Even though it is a pretty small sample size, both companies have surpassed my expectations. It seems like just like everything else, depending on the doctor you talk to, your mileage could vary. The most encouraging part is that so far that mileage has been pretty good to great. While Doctor on Demand's thorough exam was interesting, I don't know how effective it ultimately was though. That timed visit though is by far one of the strangest choices that I've ever seen. However, Teladoc's lower monthly rate leaves you with very little risk to book several visits from doctors. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to the same thing as everything else, price. If you're looking to access more healthcare at a lower cost, then Teladoc is probably going to be your bet. If you're looking for less healthcare at a higher cost, Doctor on Demand is going to do exactly that. So what's the next step? Well, go ahead and click right here on my face to kind of go behind the exam door and see what it's like setting up these accounts and talking to a doctor online. Again, click right here on my face to do that, or there is a link below in the video's description. Of course, I do want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. It does mean a lot to me. And as always, I am Joey Giangola with Giangola Insurance. Take it easy, everybody.